Howdy. So I saw Jackass 3D last night. And had a lot of fun whilst doing so. I will give it a 7. I don't see how I can't give it a 7 because I had a great time. It's about jackasses in 3D, and that's pretty much it. You know, if you're somehow not familiar with the Jackass premise, I mean, it's a group of guys who really are performance artists. They you know, create performance art in the form of pain and outrageous stunts. But it's all, I think it's all very artistic. Again, I will give it a 7, and I have to, of course, compare it to its 2 previous prequels and say that, you know, maybe it's, you know, down a little, but, you know, it's still Jackass, you know, it's still hilarious. People walked out of this movie. I counted 4 people who walked out. The theater was very close to being sold out, so it was a, you know, very crowd-heavy viewing, which is always fun. I mean, sometimes when watching movies in theaters, I hate having a crowd around me, and in some instances, I love having a crowd around me. And in this instance, I loved having a crowd around me. I laughed thoroughly throughout. Twice I found that I couldn't laugh anymore, so all I had left to do was clap. So there were 2 occasions where I was laughing so hard I had no choice but to applaud, you know. So that happened twice, so that's good. I don't know if I want to give it away, but I guess telling you just the names of the skits wouldn't, or the pieces wouldn't hurt. And one would definitely be called a midget bar fight. Midget bar fight, highlight of the film, my opinion. Right up next to it was what I would call the poo chew train. Poo chew train. I won't say anything more than that. But it's disgusting and hilarious. So I really enjoyed that as well. Those were the 2 times where I just clapped. You know, I had no option but to applaud. The reason I'm not giving it a higher score, well, they're not aiming for high art here, so I don't think giving it anything over 7 is too insulting to them. There was one time, and it was and I watched Jackass from episode 1, and even like after learning about Jackass, I've gone further back into their histories, their individual histories, and watched their like hometown video stuff. So I am a fan of these guys. I really like these guys. I don't know if I want to call them important, but they, you know, they're up there. I think it's necessary to see what these guys can do. Where was I going with that? Oh, again, I'm a fan. I've been watching for a very long time. In this film was the very first time where I got the feeling that too many people were in on it. That obviously I know many of the bits are staged or planned in advance, and only, you know, their targets are unaware, but I don't know, just there was, it almost felt like a little bit of a sinking feeling, that it was just a little too set up, just a little too fake, and I don't think that false feelings have any business in Jackass. I think Jackass is about pure feeling and emotion, and probably feeling nothing else but pain. And I just don't think that any type of staging or any type of untruth belongs in the Jackass world. And I felt that kind of encroach, and I did not like it. But again, it was the very first time I've ever felt that way while watching a Jackass skit. Or piece, sorry, I don't want to call them skits, I want to call them pieces. So I didn't really like that, and you know, after they do their stunt or their performance piece, they always have to say something after, you know, something clever, funny. I would, you know, it wasn't that clever or that funny this go around. I wish, you know, I don't know. It just, you know, I didn't laugh at, you know, at what the actual people were talking. I didn't laugh at their personalities this time. Usually I find, you know, again, there's plenty of personality to be had here, but I didn't laugh as much at them, at their personalities, as I usually do. I think their skits are still on, you know, the level. Great, you know, stuff. But again, after, you know, then they'd say something dumb or corny, and I was just like, what? You know, don't have to say anything. You know, to follow something like that, you don't need to say anything. So, again, why I'm not giving it a higher score. But again, it's Jackass, and if you're a fan of Jackass, then you're obviously going to love this movie. I had a great time. I will say this. This is just a little piece of humanity, and this was probably the best thing to happen during the film, and it wasn't in the film. Again, the movie was practically sold out. And there is a piece in the film where someone dresses up in a gorilla costume. A very effective, very realistic gorilla costume, but a costume nonetheless. And I really think that, I mean, now, famous last words, but in a situation, I don't think that that's going to be a real gorilla. I think I can tell the difference between a real gorilla and a man in a suit like that. Anyway, that's beside the point. But they pull a prank on April and Phil Margera by letting this gorilla loose in their hotel room, which is hilarious. But they show Chris Pontius, one of the jackasses, get into the outfit. They explain the prank, and then they commit the prank. Well, there was a couple behind me in the theater. Now, I don't know if they were a couple. They were a boy and a girl, and they were together. And the girl, and I would estimate their age at, you know, early to mid-20s. While the prank was going on, she leaned over, you know, I'm assuming, because they were behind me, directly behind me, and audibly asks her boyfriend, "Is that a real gorilla?" And I couldn't help myself but to laugh, you know. And again, I don't know if I wasn't laughing at anything in the movie. I was laughing at the Dumbo behind me, who just had everything explained to her, and then was so confused when she saw this gorilla in a hotel room that she was like, "Is that a real gorilla?" to me, that was hilarious. I wanted to get up and shake her hand and congratulate the man that was with her and tell him that he had done a good job for himself, obviously. Really, that's just a little human piece, human drama there for you that I'll probably remember much more than anything in the movie, honestly. But I had a great time. A lot of people had a great time. There were 4 walkouts, which I think is important. If you walk out of a movie, to me, that they're doing something right, you know. So you know, that's Jackass 3D. The 3D, I'd say I enjoyed half the time. Obviously, it's not necessary. And when it gets to, you know, home video, it's obviously not going to be 3D. But you'll still have a fun time watching it. It didn't really add anything, and it definitely didn't take anything away. I guess it maybe, you know, felt like some poop was getting on you at some point, which is fun. But yeah, I mean, it's Jackass, you know, it's going to be a good time no matter what. So I'm going to give it a 7. It's a good watch. If you're a Jackass, then get to the theater. All right, take her easy.